This is Justin Amazon on Wednesday, September 19th, 2018. And where I got my cursor here was kind of the last place we left off with a pivot yesterday. We're still below that. Pre-market kind of got above it here, but we're mainly below this level. I don't even know what price it's at, like 1945, 44, something like that. Probably somewhere through here. So we broke up through it, retested it, went up, came back down, jogged around here on it, stair step, broke down, retested it. So this pivot. So this is our next big hurdle to get over is like 19, let's just call it 1944. Okay. So the open here, if it comes up, it'll probably bump its head up here. If we go down, it could come down to 1925, then bounce maybe, but the 1944 price should be a contender, to see how it interacts with that. Let's get into the day here, and immediately we sell down a little bit. So we open at 1940 and 50 cents. We don't even run up into 1944. So looks like we're on our way down towards the 1925 price. Very low volume for an open. Even the massive one that we had 2 days ago was a really strong open. This one, not so much. Yeah, just really small volume again. But look at the size of this candle. The size of this candle looks really similar to 2 days ago, where we sold off really, really far down, and then had this candle with massive volume with the lower wick, and then bounce from there. So we didn't even pause at 1925. This really opens the door to, this could sell down to 1905, sell down to 1900. I don't know if we'll get as far back down here, because I think, let's see, yesterday was, I think it actually made a higher high, but I'm just picturing this as this massive candle. Something's going to move probably inside of it and not have that kind of a move again just 2 days later. It's possible. Yesterday was a bullish candle, so right now where we're gapping even and then selling down, we're starting to get close to making this, making today take out the low. So if we get below 1915, we've actually made a lower low on the daily, and that just opens the door to more of a pullback, more of a rollover. Okay, so we retest 1925 from below. Still there. Okay, this is really nice, having some upper wicks, just a stair step here. This should continue lower. Again, the target, not necessarily 1915, because that's not very far away, but that was sort of our neckline for the inverted headed shoulders that we bounced at. But we had that bounce. Now it's playing out something else. We had this triangle yesterday. That's breaking down now. We got below the triangle, low point here. That's what we retested up to here. So I'm just seeing a lot of line. Like, I don't want to draw all these in. So talking through it and explaining what I'm seeing, it makes sense. Everything's moving systematically. Everything's moving fractally for how the candles are forming and the prices. So right now we've paused. We've stair stepped for 20 minutes, right around this 1920 price. And so we got some smaller candles. If we can break this low, this should just run lower. So let's say we have this set up for 1918 by 1926, something like that. Okay, so let's see how that goes. Doesn't get triggered in here. Actually, really nice that we have another candle getting back up to 1925. Okay, maybe got filled on this one. If we got filled on this one, great. It's going. Your stop was in the right place. The trade's up a little bit. 1918, 1926. So that's $8 risk. So 1910 is an R. 1902 then is 2R. I'm doing that right? Doing it in my head. No, 1902 is 2R. Okay, good. So that's our 2R target. We come down to 1905 and bounce. 1905 is where we had some pivots down here from 2 days ago. And looks like, okay, we got some inside candles forming here. Well, at least one inside, and then this is a bullish engulfing. And it looks like we're starting to rally here. Okay, now we could roll over. We retested. We got some small candles. We retested all the way back up to break even, right at 1918. Well, 1919 actually. But, we broke down. We retested. We're rolling over. Okay, this is good. At this point, with this candle, with these three candles then being having a breakdown, you can move your stop here to just about break. I mean, just below break even. So, maybe lose, hopefully less than a quarter of an hour, maybe only lose an eighth of an hour, something like that. And right now, at the low of this, you're at an R again. So you're starting to think, well, I didn't quite get there here. Now I'm in an R again. Do I just take profits and get out of this? And with the stop not quite at break even, I would be looking for a place I can move the stop again and again and again in the next probably half hour to just kind of tighten that up. So makes another lower low on the 5 minute. You can be tightening up your stop, get it at least at break even here. And then if we go down and take out this low, I'd move it above this candle and actually be able to lock in or be trailed out for maybe an eighth of an hour or something like that. So we actually come down. Let's see, the low on this is 1906.44. The low on this is 1906.43. 1 penny below that. So there you go. That would have worked. And then we bounce. I did not realize. So I always kind of skim over the day, kind of thinking, okay, how did this really move? What are people thinking through here? And seeing that bullish candle, I mean, just the fact that it's bullish, I didn't even look at the prices on this to see that was 1 penny off. 1 penny lower on this candle than this candle. But what's crazy is somebody sold it at 1906 and 43 cents. And that was the low. And I've been that person, not this, but something else. But anyway, that person is trapped, and hopefully they had a stop in place somewhere and didn't, hopefully they just were trading something like an R system, and that's what they lost, an R. Anyway, that's a nice bounce out of there. This double bottom is, and I'm going to scroll back to the left. That double bottom is looking similar to this one, actually, where we didn't really bounce off the same level, but we, ran hard back out of that low, being a higher low than the previous one, and headed towards 1925. So let me move back forward here, and there we go. So we ran all the way back up to 1925. Now right here, even though this is a double bottom, 1925, we broke down through it. We actually didn't even close above it. We retested right to it, like the high, 1925 and 1 penny. Broke down, double bottom, right back up into it. This is a retest again of this breakdown, a secondary retest. I'd be trading this bearish again, breakdown with this just set it up with a trigger below and a stop above that candle. And that would have been working. Now this looks like a double top right here. Some lower highs, relative lows. It just starts to kind of drift down lower. So now at this point, you're up a little bit. You're up probably about an R. And you start wondering, well, I didn't get an R to this one. What's going to happen here? Should I lock something in? Maybe you will. But this one does actually move down. So we've got a low, a slightly higher low, slightly higher low. We got a high, high up here, lower high. Let's, if we connect that, we're down here, but I don't like to connect that. I like to kind of have a line that kind of fits better and then match that line on the reverse slope or inverse slope here. So you have kind of a symmetric triangle. That's what I'm always looking for on AMZN. So in here now, what I'm seeing is this. And we'll see if I can actually draw it in. All right, approximately like that. And I can't draw the exact same angle with this tool. Sometimes I like other softwares because the drawing tools are better. And maybe there's another one in here that I'm just not aware of to do a symmetric triangle. So anyway, I'm seeing that. And I kind of want to see this continue sideways some more, but the pivot point looks to be pretty close to 1915. 1915 being yesterday's low, being a point, a price that we were pivoting on before. So if we're coming into 1915 and trying to make a decision, I mean, let's just see how this goes. And now we're starting to climb a little bit here. We were right on 1915. And we actually are starting to break out. I mean, this was a high breakout, new high. Whereas this was making higher lows, this was making lower highs. I mean, I can move this angle or move this line. No, it doesn't really. I mean, if you just go off the bodies, maybe something like that. Downward fitting better. We're just trying to fit. Like, how would you have known to do that setup on the stock? And I'm not sure. So that seems to fit good, but you gotta be looking at the bodies, not the wicks. You know, so maybe you got one here. Oops. You got one here and another one up here. But, you know, this is the one that, okay, you know, we didn't quite make it up to the top through here. We made it on the bottom all four of these times. People are looking for a rollover. If you were in this trade, you know, maybe you got an R, a little more than an R. But now you're right here. If you're still in this, I mean, you're about to get trailed out. Hopefully your stop is here. And hopefully your stop is actually here and you are trailed out rather than holding on for any more of a move. But this looks like it's starting to break out of a triangle. It does. So what's really cool is with this line, that came back and retested. And our pivot, so again, if we're just looking at bodies, it gets the bottom side a little harder to draw symmetrically, but something like that. It's a little different angle. So I like doing the lows here because they actually line up really well. But anyway, we're still a little bit of 1915, but here's your retest here. Your stop can be aggressively here, a little more moderate here, and then, you know, no aggression all the way down here, probably below the low. But anyway, pulling back here, I'd be in right here. The low is, let's just use 1916, and our stop is 1913. So it's $3 now, whereas before we were doing, you know, something much larger. So $3, we're in. We're looking for a bounce. Okay, we're pulling back a little bit more. What did we say? 1913. Oh, stopped out. Okay, but we now have another point we're tight on here. And I'm going to put this back up here. So that was the aggressive play saying, okay, I want it to bounce, you know, and it's not doing it. I still have this consolidation. It's still aiming at 1915. Look at this. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 bounces off of this line. Now, you didn't know the line was there until these two. But since you could have connected these two, you had 1, 2, 3 touches now. And this is looking like a very quick break, even though, so what's funny is we actually had the squeeze form in here, like this was going to work, and then that pulled back. But these triangles, I love seeing these triangles. I see triangles all the time on Amazon, and to be able to be patient enough for them to play out. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say you were not patient waiting for this one or getting in on a pullback here. But it is, you know, if you're not really seeing everything line up that you want, you know, just wait for it. And right here in the span of 2 candles, we've gone from the low of the triangle to the high of the triangle. Like that's quick compared to everything else. But now the triangle is also very, very consolidated at this point. It's itching for something to happen. We're already if we were in here, getting in bullish, we'd be in above this and a stop down here, and you'd be almost at an R right back up to 1925. And bring that up, just say, you know, that'd be great to, you know, to get that R and then some. But I mean, that's our next target. We're not that far below. So maybe it's not a trade you want to take, but it does end up moving up to about 2R, maybe a little under 2R. And then that's the close of the day. So it's really interesting. So with these lines here, if we go look at, let's say, the 1925 put at each of these lows, so there's 5 of them, I think we'll actually see those lows on the call. So 1925 call, here's a low, here's a low, here's a low, here's a low. I'm seeing 4, maybe that's the 5th one, but they all come down into about 11 bucks, 1070, 1016, 1111, 1059. Had you set up a trade, let's just say set up $11 by $10, not that time, not that time, maybe this time, you got in at 11 and a stop at 10, that would have worked to make you a little bit of something, wouldn't have filled, and then actually would have filled and would have been moving up tremendously. From 11 up to 18 is 7. Let's actually be a little more conservative. Well, that's 1750. Let's say 17. So maybe you didn't aim for this. Maybe you aimed for the lows here, something like that. So let's just call it 17 because that was a previous value. So 11 up to 17 is 6R. So that setup would have made 6R here. Maybe you trailed out for some amount in here, but you're positive. Maybe you didn't know what you're doing here or here. Had you gotten here, I mean, that would have been a couple more R, maybe another 2 or 3R here. But having this consolidation late in the day, a rally, that's what you got to be patient for. That'd be 6R on this day. And on the puts, so we had that initial sell-off, and then we just went sideways. And the candles here were too wide of a range. This is the 1900 put, too wide to be trading this, and too far of the money to go anything below 1900 with the open that we had, opening price. So any of these, you got to wait for some sort of pullback, waiting for a tighter candle, something like that. Now, what I do like is this range, the low in here was this at 905. And see, the only issue I think was that candle. That candle, you wouldn't want to get it on because it's a bigger candle. But these, let's see, the low is 950. So had you gone with 10 by 9 or 975 by 875, something like that, excluding that candle, or maybe you got stopped out or stopped out on that one. I don't know. But this candle, had you gotten in on either of these, let's say 1975 by 875. So let's call it 1375. 1375 minus 975 is 4. So that's 4R to get into on that kind of movement. We haven't even looked back. So that's 1040. 1040. That was the double top. Then we saw that coming. We saw that breakdown, then it retested, and 1040 down to here. That could have been 4R bearish. We just said this could have been 6R bullish. There are opportunities all over the place today within this triangle and the breakout of it. So we had a bearish candle today. Here's the daily. Let's go look in a little bit closer. Bearish candle. We had a bearish retest gap, retested. Now we're starting to roll over. We really need to get below some of these lows down here. But we'd have to zoom in probably to an hourly or something to see, okay, is this an S curve sort of thing? We had a gap. Is this an S curve? And then are we going to come down for a while longer before we put in a base and rally? Hopefully, but I don't know. But what's interesting is we've kind of been retesting and now rejecting the 21 exponential in this area. So that's kind of the next level to look for. And that's up about it's right around 1944. That makes sense. All right, get rid of these. So 1940. Just a lot of these numbers all come together. So those 1944 is the 21 exponential on the daily, and that was a price point that we had in here that we didn't actually even retest up to. Here's the last few days. Bigger picture, this is a bigger triangle. So, you know, the smaller one I grew, smaller one I drew today, you could have connected that. Slightly different angle, but you totally could have connected that. And then depends on how you want to draw this, but you could draw like this. I'm not saying it's going to do something tomorrow, but that's just where the lines come together. So let's say it's not that far. Let's say it's like this one, including that wick. I like the angles matching up better on this. And I like that they're coming together above the 1925 price. So we really want to see some consolidation up in the 1930s before we go higher. So that's what we'll look for tomorrow. This is normally the amount, this range is normally the amount of after hours. I don't know why this always shows it like this, but if you go off of this amount of space being after hours and this amount of space being after hours, then you've got maybe half that same, or I'm sorry, that whole same amount again for pre-market. Oops, didn't mean to zoom on that. So anyway, that's big picture on the 5 minute, which seems kind of funny, but that's what we're looking at. And you can go take a look at other time frames, which I recommend you do. Don't just take my setup or trade, but you know, look into what you want to do, what your rules say. I'm just giving you what I'm seeing for the setups. And yeah, we will continue to come back to this and see how things are looking tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks. This is just new though.